On today's Minute of the Apes, when I was about 10, we adopted a dog from a pound, and I kid you not, I opened up a dictionary and dropped my finger on a word, and that dog's name was Frisbee.
Exercise with an ape maker, human down. It talks. There's a divine bound. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace. The only good human is a dead human. And if it is man's destiny one day to be dominated, then oh please God, let him be dominated by such as you.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, a daily podcast where we break down every minute of Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I am Todd. That was Richard talking about Frisbee. And you know what? I think for the day, let's call the other guy Frisbee instead of Sean. What do you think, Richard? Sean, how are you?
Oh, I'm got to stretch my podcast legs.
Yeah, we are. How far into the COVID thing now are we?
Well, this is
stay at home or
April's like 2.
Yeah,
it's about 2 months ish. This is our first recording where I originated here about 30 miles north of where the guys are in Dallas, and seeing what we can do using Zoom simply because we don't want to let this thing languish. So it's a little different. They may sound different. I may sound really good. I get to use my regular voice while they're over there sounding really bad. But anyway, we're going to do our best with this. We're going to see how it works, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
Let's give it a try.
All right, Sean, minute 36. Tell us what's going on.
All right, we're starting minute 36 with Caesar flipping through the book and ends with Caesar hopping up and down.
All right, let's take a listen to minute 36 of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Caesar. A king.
Yes? They're waiting for you in the council chamber.
I don't think we'll ever make a bartender out of Caesar. Have him detailed to the command post.
As minute 36, we have a courtyard's worth of gorillas, chimpanzees, and orangutans, imported apes, Caesar, and a planet's worth of humans.
So, this is name-picking time.
Yeah.
And we get the absolutely observant, deep-thinking reply of a king. Did anybody just want to punch the dude? It's like, really? No shit, that's the best you... A king. It was so on the nose.
Well, technically...
the reveal itself... Right. The reveal itself wasn't even that exciting because I already knew his name was Caesar, right? It wasn't like...
True.
It didn't suddenly become from Milo to Caesar, and then all of a sudden it's Caesar for the rest of the movie, which would have made sense. He was Caesar already, so this is a little too contrived. It was a little too... That's a very good point. You know, if they'd at least played along with it until this point, then it would have been kind of this is weighty. But it's sort of like me coming up to you, Richard, and you've heard, hey, I want you to meet my friend Todd. But by the way, he goes by Kevin because that's his first name. But he's going to walk up to you in the middle of a party and just say, I'm Todd. It doesn't have any weight to it at all. No, there's no weight to it other than the fact that Breck has now figured out a name for him and given him the name King. I guess Brett can now know he's a threat, I suppose.
Yeah.
Also, Caesar wasn't a king. I mean, and I know it sounds weird, but there's a difference between a king and I guess the closest thing would be is like an emperor or something like that. I know that sounds like pedantic, but they weren't the same. He's not a king. I mean, he's a leader of a lot of people. But he's not a king. I mean, kings, make decrees and people have to obey them. But Caesar is more of like a military leader. That's what I mean. More than something like that.
Or than a king specifically. Yeah.
Oh crap.
Maybe that's. Go ahead.
I think it's also like complete. This is writer logic that Breck is able to pull a book that just happens to have Caesar's name in it, plop it down, and Caesar finds it within like 3 seconds.
I did find that really kind of funny how it's. I'm sorry, whenever I would use the old school dictionary / encyclopedia, I'm thumbing through that damn thing for hours trying to find what I want. But Caesar, he's so damn smart. Wham!
Yeah, because he might know where the C is and then the CE, but when you get to the CEA, you've got to flip through a couple of pages because of words that are around it, and then you got to lick your fingers and get to that one. There it is, and then you got to scan down the page. Which column is it in? Oh, it's on the other page. Bing! Now I found it. Instead of flip, point.
I'm sorry, Sean. In this COVID age, we don't lick our fingers anymore when we touch the pages.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
But if they had taken their time and let him play around, then the humans could have had a moment of thinking, oh, see how dumb the ape is. The ape is only playing. He's posturing. He's imitating. They could have even said things like that so that then the subterfuge of what we see later once they, and just looking ahead as the story obviously develops, it allows Caesar to be a common ape. But they don't even allow that. At that point, I'd be going, oh, he kind of knows what he's looking for. Bam. Richard, you were going to say something.
I was reading the actual script, what the description is. Breck opens the book at random and at random stabs a forefinger on the open page. He does this twice while Caesar attentively watches, which is the last minute, then closes the book, hands it to Caesar, and momentarily turns his back to replace the unwanted volume 2 on the shelf. During these few seconds, Caesar opens the book at an early page, rapidly flips several more pages as Breck turns again from the shelf to watch, stabs his hairy forefinger on the open page. Breck peers down over Caesar's shoulder. So there was intended to be a little bit more of a time where Caesar intentionally found Caesar in the book. Mm-hmm. That wasn't quite so obvious because Breck was watching this entire time. They couldn't quite execute that move very well.
That makes me think. That makes me think also that goes to a very shortened production schedule. Whenever you're doing that kind of thing, you're obviously going to read the page and you're going to say, here's all this stuff that needs to happen. Just do this. You're going to streamline those things. Obviously, Dane had called for it within the action. Right. But they just didn't execute because of probably of time. We don't have time for that kind of thing. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Well, we had the really nice shot afterwards, though, where the camera is looking down on Caesar, mm-hmm. and the description from Dane is the eyes of slave and master lock. Then Breck takes the book and snaps it shut. Mm. So it was a nice little shot moment looking down, but Breck doesn't really grab the book right away. What Breck does is Breck takes a drink of water. And I'm like, okay, to lose all the impact of the master and slave moment. When Breck just like, I'm going to have some. Oh, this is some nice water.
Well, no, that's not water. That's that's not water. That's
the seltzer.
That's a drink that Caesar made for him earlier.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's drinking in a highball too. Dang, Breck likes to start early.
That was my note. I was like, was the drink not good because he just like is hitting it hard? So is it like weak that Caesar made him?
By the way, I'm having a real hard time listening to Richard read the screenplay. Every time I look at Richard, for the listener, he's using Zoom, and behind him he has a picture of gaping ape from beneath. And so literally that entire time, Richard, you were kind of giving that, I was going in about every third kind of thought, and I'm just staring at gaping ape behind you. I can't concentrate.
I will take a screenshot of it so you can put it up on the site so people can see my Zoom background.
I just took a screenshot and I'll send it to you, just in case.
Okay. we've bemoaned so often this film feels very rushed. I will say that I agree with you, Richard. Some of the shots and some of the choices, at least of composition and storytelling, are very good, very well done. There are moments that are coming even a little bit later where you see that Thompson understands how to stage things, how putting things in the frame kind of around the person of interest makes it a deeper thought. If they could have only given these people 2 more weeks or something of production time, maybe we would have seen the sequence that's on the page.
Yeah. So he does give the buzzer. Dane does write in the buzzer moment that allows the break in the silence for the action to move past this moment. And we do get a buzzer. And I love the McDonald, once again, we see a phone that has no phone cord on it. It's still the same Princess phone, but no phone cord. Ooh, futuristic.
But they do have buzzing noises for the ringers, so they were at least, prescient enough to know that we were going to have vibrate on phones.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was, vibrate, yeah.
So where does this scene, this minute end for us?
With Caesar hopping up and down.
Do he and McDonald leave the room during this?
Oh yeah, McDonald tells them to send him to the command post.
So
because we get the now the other awesome sign. We had the Ape management sign before, but now we have a big sign that just says Civic Center.
Well, the reason I wanted to make sure of that is that Richard before has said how this film at times does not feel cinematic. And we've had the back and forth where I think some of the shot composition shows how very cinematic it can be. The part where this does not feel cinematic to me are the transitions. We get such a harsh cut from inside that room going about the Caesar moment to McDonald and Caesar talking. We don't even have a transitionary shot of outside of the buildings, anything that say, by the way, they left this room, they went down some stairs, they went out. No passage of time to ease the fact that they've left. That's where the cinematic nature to me stops, because TV, especially of that time, would do a lot of that shortcutting. And there, I think there are a lot of people, the classics of that era of cinema, that truncated a lot of that language, but not this harshly. This is literally a cut from them in one place to a cut of them in another place without even audio cue to make it feel different.
That is actually my note on this is with the shot, then cuts outside of it. We've got McDonald and Caesar walking, but when the shot first opens up, there's a strawberry blonde woman whose back of the head is in the center of the shot. Mm-hmm. And she is now walking up the steps, but it opens right on the back of her head in the center. She's walking up, and the color, because of her bright strawberry hair and the muted tones of this entire movie in the black, was just jarring. Yeah. I mean, it was really like, oh, that was a pop of color. What just happened here? And before I even realized we were outside.
If you have, there's so many ways to do cuts to where that motion can help it. And if we'd seen 2 or 3 people pass before we saw McDonald and Caesar, I wonder even if that jarring feeling would be as harsh. But you're right. It just goes right from her to them. And it's just like, it even feels that the edit was rushed. So many times you look at what was done with El Mariachi, how that's done on the cheap, but the editing is so smart to make it feel so much bigger. This is almost like it's done on the cheap, and the editing is done so economically it makes it feel so much smaller.
So did you guys notice in the scene, because I didn't pick up the first couple times I watched it, and it really was the script that kind of told me what had happened, that when Caesar's walking with McDonald, he's walking upright. And as he's walking upright down the steps, the other apes begin to notice him. Yeah. And Caesar resumes his ape gait just a few minutes later because he realizes that he's being watched because he's walking normal. I honestly didn't pick it up in the first moment, or the first 2 times I kind of watched the scene. But upon reading the script and putting it together, oh, that's what's happening. I can see that now. And it's not done poorly. I just didn't catch it right away.
Well, I think the thing that kind of hit me as odd about that is why? Why are they all of a sudden noticing him? Is he putting off some weird pheromones of leadership that they notice? What is it that Caesar's done nothing
to draw major attention to himself? Yeah.
I don't think the way that they handle this with Caesar just naturally assuming that position is bad, because I think in the ape, even beyond the ape world, in the animal kingdom, an animal is going to exude whatever it is that the other animals follow. We see eventually, Richard, you're going to see